Hello gamers! Welcome to this week's review. This week, as you can tell, I'm doing something a little different. I'm not on my green screen, I'm not on my set in the basement. I'm actually up here in the living room where I have a little bit more space and a little bit more light because I want to talk to you guys about two great systems. I'm going to talk to you guys about the PC Engine Core Grafx 2 and the Turbo Grafx 16. I got them right here on my coffee table, which isn't in frame right now, but you're going to see them in just a second, so keep watching. Okay guys, so I'm sitting here, I've got both systems here, and we're going to talk about the PC Engine first. It was the first system that was released, so that is what we are going to talk about. This here is the PC Engine Core Grafx 2 system. It is very small. It's about the size of a CD case, just about. If you want to see a comparison, it's actually pretty darn close to the size of a CD jewel case. It's just obviously not as thick. It's maybe about 1, 2, 3. So it's about the size of 3 CD jewel cases stacked on top of one another, which is a very small system. I think this is still one of the smallest systems ever made. The system is a nice gray color with PC Engine Core Grafx 2 done in very bright orange letters. You have just a really nice kind of sleek design to it. As small as it is, it's actually a very nice looking system. Aesthetically speaking, I really enjoy it. You've got one controller port on the front. You have your power on and off here. There is no LED though. So the only way you know the power is on or off is by this little green tab here, which also keeps your game from coming out. Right. On the side here, we have the AC adapter port. That's just for your power. On the back, we have an expansion port, which I actually have one of the devices that goes in the expansion port, which you'll see. And on the side, we have your AV out. Now, on the original PC Engine, we did not have an AV out. We actually had an RF out. And on the second PC Engine, I believe on the first PC Engine Core Grafx, we had an AV out. But I know for sure on the second one, because that's what I own, it does have an AV out. But there was an expansion port that you could buy that had an AV out to it. But since this version has the AV out on it, we don't really need that. So, with all that said, the system, like I said, is very nice, and it comes with, well, it doesn't come with games, mine came with games, but the games are on these little cards. They're called Hue cards. And as you can see, they have really cool artwork on them, which you're going to see a difference in on the Turbo Grafx. But yeah, these games look really nice. Like, I love the idea of the Hue cards because it just seems to me that, let me turn these around here, it seems to me that the Hue cards are just way better than a cartridge. You don't have the capacitors and stuff like that that can go bad inside them, and it seems like they'll last a lot longer. You don't have the option for saving your games though on the Hue cards, and that's a problem. But the Hue cards just slide into the system like so. They click right in. Flick your power on, you see the little green tab, that is to let you know that the system is on. And then you just play your games. It's a really, really nice concept. I like the Hue cards. I wish more systems had used them. Had the Super Nintendo gone with something like this, maybe things would have been a little different as far as the way video games were made, because if you look at stuff like on the DS, their games are on little cards now. And this is kind of the start of that. So yeah. The Hue cards are great. The graphics on the system, it is a system that has dual 8-bit processors, so it's not true 16-bit per se, but it is a 16-bit system. It's not as powerful as the Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis, but it's way more powerful than the NES or the Sega Master System. And I think that the graphics on this are really good. I enjoy the graphics on these games, which you're going to see some gameplay footage kind of mixed in here. But yeah, I really enjoy my PC Engine. I think it's a great system. It comes with one controller. The systems would come with one controller. I was just grabbing something else by accident. But this is the controller that comes with the PC Engine. You have your D-pad, select, run, your 2-button, and your 1-button. Now, what made the PC Engine and the Turbo Grafx so unique with their controllers is they have these little switches right here. These are your turbo switches that turn turbo on and off. They have 3 different settings for 3 different speeds. Of course, when it's all the way down, it's just, button presses, then a little bit faster, and then super fast. And that's a really great addition, especially because this system and the Turbo Grafx had a lot of shoot-'em-up games like R-Type and Ordyne and just Tiger Healy. Just a lot of really great games that really, really needed the turbo button, so that's really cool. Your controllers is hooked in by little pin connectors here. Just slides right here into the controller port. There is only one controller port on the system. Now, there was a multi-tap that was released that would allow up to 5 controller ports, but they could have easily made the system slightly bigger or even just put the controller ports on the side here. So that's a downer on this. Now, I want to show you guys the controller for the Turbo Grafx before we move on, because as you can see, they are pretty much identical controllers except for a different color scheme and the fact that Turbo Grafx is written right over here. Otherwise, they're pretty much exactly the same, but one thing is, whereas most Nintendo and Sega systems and everything, their controllers are backwards compatible, they are not between the Turbo Grafx and the PC Engine. They have 2 completely different sets of pin connectors, which really is a bummer because you can't use your Turbo Grafx controller on your PCE, you can't use your PCE controller on your Turbo Grafx without some sort of an adapter. Alright, now we're going to talk about adapters. I only have one of them for the PC Engine, and that is the Tenno Koi 2. I think I said that right. If I didn't, please correct me in the comments. This is a unit that was made because, like I said before, the Hue cards did not have battery save. As you can see, there's no room in the Hue card for a battery. So we had the Tenno Koi. This fit into the expansion port. You just flip it around, slide your system in. It's actually very tight. It locks in just like so. It kind of doubles the size of the system almost, but you have a nice LED here. That's one thing I really like about having the Tenno Koi attached to my PC Engine, is when I flick this on, that LED light turns on. That's something that we don't have with the PCE, which is an LED light to let you know that the power is on. So I like that about the Tenno Koi. Now, what I don't like, and when I received this, they were ruptured inside the Tenno Koi, so I haven't even checked it to see if it works. But in order to save your games, you still need to have 2 AA batteries in the Tenno Koi. Now, I'm not sure what games I have that actually use a save feature because I don't read Japanese, but not really fond of how that turned out. So that was the PC Engine Core Graphics 2. Alright, moving on to the Turbo Grafx 16, you're not going to see a whole lot different with this. But as you can see already, the system is much larger than the PC Engine Core Graphics 2. Now, the original PC engines weren't that big either. But this is much larger, it's black. I'm not quite sure what they were going for with the actual design of the system. I think as far as the system itself, it's not very attractive. I feel that they were trying to appeal to American audiences, and they just really failed with it. But what you got going on here is you have your controller port on the front, your power switch, which, just like the PC Engine, you got the little thing that comes out that lets you know whether or not the power is on. There's still no LED light in the system. It still uses the Hue cards that just slide in. When you turn it on, your game starts. Sadly, once again, the system doesn't have any internal memory, so you still can't save the games without some sort of an adapter like the Tenno Koi. But unlike the PC Engine, the Turbo Grafx has no AV out. You slide it around here. You have your antenna switch and your channel select. This right here is where your RV cable goes in, and this is where you select whether you'll put it on channel 2 or 3. So without some sort of an adapter, you cannot use AV cables on the Turbo Grafx, unless you're really creative with the wires on the pins in the back. Back here you have your AC adapter port, which is where your power goes, and again you have the expansion slot. Now, I have been told, and I have not tried this yet, that things like the Tenno Koi will work with the Turbo Grafx. So you could take the Tenno Koi if you wanted to save your games, and they say it'll fit, but I'm trying this right now. I read this online, and yeah, you can't believe everything you read. It doesn't fit. So forget saving any games with this thing. Now, my RF unit was very loose. It didn't work right. So I went on eBay and found this awesome seller who makes these Turbo Grafx composite video output boxes. It's just a little thing where you put the RCA cables right into the system to hook up with an AV slot. So I just plug this in right here, and it extends the length of the system by about 2.5, maybe 2 inches actually. And you got a nice little AV out on there, and it works perfectly. I love having this because the RF unit I had was terrible. Now, unlike the PC Engine, I actually have some games that have their original jewel cases, and that's how the games came. We're in CD jewel cases, and yeah, I really like the way they display. I think that this is something that just looked wonderful. It's way better than having a cardboard box, and it's something that is a lot easier to find games that are complete. Now, I do have some games that aren't complete as well. R-Type, Alien Crush, Dragon Spirit, Ordine, and of course, Sidearms. Now, one thing you'll notice about the PC Engine games versus the Turbo Grafx games is the actual art on the cards. There is art on the PC Engine games, as you can see, really colorful characters, things of that nature on the PC Engine cards. But on the Turbo Grafx cards, almost all of them just have the name and then the Turbo Grafx logo. So that's something that's kind of a bummer for me, because I really love great, game artwork. I think it's wonderful. Now, the graphics are exactly the same as the PC Engine. The games play exactly the same. You still have, the same kind of controllers and whatnot. But overall, I think the Turbo Grafx and the PC Engine are really great systems. They look nice. Well, the PC Engine looks nice. The graphics look nice on these. There are just so many great games on the PC Engine that did not make it over here. The Turbo Grafx was kind of a failed system, and that's a shame because we could have gotten some really awesome games. I really wish that the Turbo Grafx had made it here in the US, because there's games like Ninja Gaiden that were released on the PC Engine that was never released over here in America. And just lots of really great games that we never got. So, yeah, the Turbo Grafx and the PC Engine are great systems. I think they complement one another very well. I'm personally happy to have these in my collection. They are really a big boost for me because I've been wanting one of these for a long time. There's really not much more I can say about these. They're great systems, the graphics are great, the controllers are great. If you can get your hands on one, definitely do it. They're going up in price steadily. I got great deals on both of these. Even though the controller doesn't quite work entirely right on the PC Engine, I still got great deals on both of these. Go to eBay, do not go to retail stores, because I saw a terrible deal in a retail store yesterday and it made me laugh my butt off. I about just walked out after seeing it. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I think they're great systems, and buy one. Thanks for watching.